Welcome to the Pit Check, your weekly news for the best and heaviest new albums from your favorite extreme metal and hardcore bands. This week, variety is the spice of life. The bands we're going to be covering today have such a wide array of genres, everything from death metal to hardcore to slam, but probably most surprisingly, there's a ton of 90s grunge influence this week. So as always, make sure you subscribe to the channel because we do this every week. And let's get into this week's best and heaviest new albums. Alright, say it with me. Sanguisugabogg. The absurdly brutal death metal band Sanguisugabogg has released their latest album, titled Hideous Aftermath. If you love caveman death metal, look no further. This album is loaded with everything we've come to know and love about this band. Disgustingly heavy stoner riffs, bone-breaking slams, the darkest and nastiest lyrics, and just all-out relentless stupidity. This time around, they're actually showing off their instrumentation a lot more. Like, we all knew Sanguisugabogg could, bring the heat, but this time they are shredding. The guitarist and drummer are blasting through some of the craziest and most technical riffs I've ever heard from this band. And with features from Cattle Decap, Peeling Flesh, Full of Hell, Defeated Sanity, and let's not forget Nails, this album is just suffocating with talent. I don't know if this is a hot take, but this might be the best release from this band so far. And that's saying something, given their already super impressive discography. Do you miss 90s grunge? The grungy metalcore grunge gaze band Soulblind have released their latest album, titled Red Sky Mourning. If you're nostalgic for that dreamy, down-tempo grunge and alt-rock, this band captures that authentic sound, I think, better than anybody else on the scene. Also, the production on this album is impeccable. The guitars are dirty and twangy and have this Alice in Chains vibe, but then will lighten up and get atmospheric for the more shoegaze-influenced choruses. But both the guitars and drums do these little flashes of technicality, just to prove that they're actually really good at their instruments and that this whole down-tempo, simple grunginess is a stylistic choice and not a skill limitation. I really enjoyed this one quite a bit. My only real note here would be just that I really wish they would put the pedal to the metal a little bit more often. Songs like Billy and New York Smoke, where they have that grittiness to them, I think really hit the mark. But hey, I know that's because I'm a sucker for screaming and breakdowns. Brain Dead Slam just keeps getting better. Or worse, I guess, whichever's heavier. The Oregon-based slam band Boltcutter has released their latest album, titled Still Broke. This one is for people who love self-aware and goofy slam that actually goes crazy hard. If you love bands like Snuffed on Sight, Peeling Flesh, or Body Box, you're gonna love this. This album is really built on the back of that Dirty South and Memphis hip-hop influence, including samples and DJ scratching, and of course plenty of jokes and memes, but with the nastiest caveman riffs, pig squeals, and just the lowest IQ breakdowns and slams possible. And if you're feeling a lot of that peeling flesh influence, that's no surprise. This album was actually mixed and mastered by Michael Soto of Peeling Flesh. And let's be real, he crushed it. This album might even sound better than their own. And by God, just look at this list of features. Craving more chaos in your death metal? The wildly underrated death metal band Blindfolded and Led Into the Woods has released their latest album titled The Hardest Thing About Being God Is That No One Believes Me. And it's not just the album name that's long. Each one of these songs averages from 4 to 8 minutes long, which, unlike a lot of modern death metal and especially slam bands, it really gives each one of these songs time to breathe and develop. Yes, this album is disgustingly heavy, but it's also surprisingly deep. And of course, we couldn't talk about Beatdown without discussing these always impressive and technical instrumentals. Not only are the guitars hitting these absolutely brutal and dissonant and mathy riffs, but there's also a ton of solos and melodies and this really dark and evil sounding atmosphere. One of my commenters said they sound like Puron and Ulcerate with some sprinklings of Dillinger Escape Plan, and I think that kind of works. So if that sounds good to you, give Beatdown a shot. Man, I don't think I can make that acronym work. Florida knows how to do beatdown right.
Then the moment's gone!
The hardcore band Two Piece has released their latest album, titled Florida. This is a band that doesn't take themselves too seriously, but still delivers serious carnage. They have this really fun and bouncy style that includes a lot of rapping and shit talking, with some really creative grooves and riffs, and of course breakdowns so dumb they had to be from Florida. That intensity combined with the chunky guitar tone and the sludgy breakdowns really just scratches that itch for me. If you want some dirty South beatdown straight from the Florida swamps, look no further. Nu metal ain't dead yet. The Numetalcore band Extortionist have released their latest album titled Stare Into the Seeping Wounds.
The best part of me is
They have such a great blend of this down-tempo deathcore and even these driving metalcore elements that add a ton of variety and creativity to these songs. But most interestingly, there's a ton of these 90s grunge influences between the guitars and especially in the vocals, which I'm super into. Some nu metalcore bands can get very samey or follow a pretty basic formula, so I'm constantly impressed that Extortionist is able to fit into these familiar grooves, but without sounding derivative or boring or repetitive, which is saying a lot for a 13-track album. This is another great album this week that is perfect for that gym playlist. Picking out the metalcore album of the year just got a lot harder. The metalcore crossover band Greyhaven have just released their latest album titled Keep It Quiet. I'm just gonna say this up top. This is Greyhaven at their absolute peak. This is easily the most polished, mature, creative, and technically impressive this band has ever been. Every single song shows off some other incredible facet of this band. Sometimes they want to show off how chaotic and mathy they can be. Sometimes they want to break your heart with an emotional powerhouse of a song. And with them blending so many post-hardcore and jazzy and mathy influences, this album will never get old. While this isn't Greyhaven at their absolute heaviest, this is Greyhaven at their absolute best. What if Action Bronson had a hardcore band?
Man, you tested your luck. Now you getting pressed up because you stupid goofy asses couldn't rest out your tongue and said you wanted your mouth to the wrong.
The Long Island hardcore band NYC Shootout has released their latest album titled Knucklehead Anthemz.
Bitch me! You're just a snake!
I can't believe you really thought it would fly. Man, you really just not.
If you like crossover bands that fuse East Coast rapping and New York hardcore, bands like Gridiron or Bayway, this'll be right up your alley.
Your couch is just cursed. You think you're cool, but don't realize you'll get hurt. It's berserk. You really think you out here putting in work? Yo, grow a shit and talk.
And I do appreciate that despite all the shit talking and super beefy riffs, this band is having a great time and that energy is infectious. And there's a bunch of interludes that are just straight up rap songs that have this funky 80s and 90s influence.
Cereal blasting bass ass bars coming right through your stereo. Locked, loaded, ready to be goaded. Asian service ladies hanging with me and they throating.
If you want a solid up-and-coming New York hardcore band that doesn't take itself too seriously,
We the best, losing Knucklehead Anthemz, hold you for ransom. We these other niggas mad, man, they don't want attention. Can spin them whack lines of super.
And now here's the full list of all the bands that we did not get to cover this week. There is so much good stuff. Again, this is one of those weeks that was just so hard for me to pick. What have we got over here? Fading Signal. Oh god, that was so good. Amazing new hardcore band that you should definitely check out. So is Turn Cold. Also Endless Struggle is really good. Man, so much of this stuff is good. Check it out. I can't cover more than 8 a week and I'm doing my best. And as always, let me know if there's any bands that I missed, anything that I didn't get on this list, or if you have a band that has a new release coming out, please let me know in the comments. Send me a message on any of the social platforms. This is a safe space for music nerds, so please share your music. And that's it for this week. I'll catch you next week for next week's best new albums.